Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to UX, the Invisible Power seminar here at Visual Arena as a part of User Experience Excellence Pre-Study. I'm Laurin, and this is Karin Lycke, and we will host this event today. And this event is a prototyping that we are running through during the pre-study, and it's public events where we highlight and share thoughts on the state of design in this region. As you will see today, there is a huge need for a stronger visibility for the user UX competence. It's not only an invisible power, it's an invisible power. So I warmly welcome you all to this second event in this area, and we hope it can be a recurrent event in the future, because we have so much to talk about. And today we have 4 presentators that I hope you will find as exciting as we do, especially since we are 2 of them.
Yes, and we will start with one very experienced user designer and coach within UX, and he's called Jens Verdeen. How many of you know who he is? Raise your hand. Well, some of you don't know. He's actually the initiator of design leadership. Check it out. Ooh, perfect. He's also the co-founder of a survey called The State of Design. So he's been checking the state of design in Sweden for the past 5 years. You could also check that out. It's a nice way of knowing how the field is actually growing and developing. And together with Jens Verdeen, we have done a survey called The State of Design West Coast. So we also wanted to have a discussion with Jens of what development that he sees within the field, but also a comparison between the state of design on a national level and the state of design on the West Coast. And he works as a consultant, but you have great also experience from organizations. And you're a coach and a trainer, and you write a newsletter. Yeah, and we couldn't have had a better guest speaking about user experience excellence. So I warmly welcome Jens Verdeen. Hey.
Hey.
Would you like to share a little bit about yourself and why you started the design leadership and the state of design survey?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Jens Verdeen, and I've been in the design industry since 2000. So it's been a while now. I've worked mainly as a user experience designer in the beginning, but progressed towards more leadership and management and coaching roles. And I've been working both in large government agencies to big enterprises to small agencies and as a consultant. Now I'm working as a consultant, helping companies and organizations build design capability in different ways. And I started this state of design report. I started in 2015, and that was just a private initiative. And it was something that I tried to do on my weekends, so to speak. But I had a few ambitions with it. And it was about understanding the design maturity within organization. I was starting working as a design leader. I wanted a better understanding of the industry and what's happening in other companies. But I also wanted to help designers and design leaders and managers and HR to understand get better information about salaries and perks, because I saw there was a big difference between working as a designer. So I wanted kind of helping everybody get a kind of same information. So I wanted the information to be open for everyone, so they could make better decisions. And also I saw that many designers said that we want to work in a human-centered way, but we are not able to do that within our organizations. We are only set to create design, but we're not able to talk to customer or users. So I wanted to start an awareness about that, and I think that has changed during the years. And of course, the whole report is mostly about what trends and what's happening in the design industry within Sweden. So that was kind of.
Okay, that was the reason. So what kind of progress have you seen when it comes to the state of design, and especially then for designers to work in a human-centered way?
So what I've seen is that, because we always stress in the report that if you are not able to, you don't get mandate or time or finance to talk to customers, show the report to your manager or to the management and say that this is kind of a competitive edge that other companies are using. Use this report just to show what others are doing. And I think we have seen that getting access to customers is not really a problem today in Sweden. Swedish companies, of course, there are some that are struggling, but I see that trend, for example.
Is there any other changes that you have been able to see during the years that you've been running the state of design?
Well, I think what we've seen is that the design maturity has gone up during the years, and I think that might have something to do that more organizations invest a lot of money in larger design organizations. They hire more designers, and that creates a need for design leaders and design management, which wasn't a thing 5 years ago in Sweden. We saw this trend. I saw this trend maybe about 7 years ago in the States and in UK and so, and that's why we also started the design leadership community, and I started educating and training in design leadership.
And design leadership, is that open for everyone to join?
Yes, we started as just an open community. It was starting in 2018 with my colleague, a friend of mine, who's Chris McCann. We started in 2018, and it was just a Slack channel. We started really simple, and then we started adding meetups, and then Jenny joined, and she's taking care of the mentorship program within that community. And then we added the design leadership report to the community instead of me, like on a personal level. Yeah.
So if anyone from the audience wants to join, how do they do that?
Yeah, so they go to designleadership.se, and there you can find information about joining. It's now we are non-profit organizations. You pay a small fee for being part of the community, and right now we're around 70 members, I would say, and then you get access to the online community and also the meetups and other stuff.
Cool. Well, I want also to speak to you about the result of the West Coast edition that we created. And what this survey we put out for around 3 months. And we just analyzed and had the results ready. So it's all fresh and new. And we have some interesting findings. One interesting finding is that 96% of the people who answered the survey says that their organizations will invest more in user experience in the future. That is amazing. However, also around 30% says that they can't because of skeptical management and return on investment uncertainty. So there is a low maturity, or when it comes to management, that there is still a skepticism around what value that user experience brings. And what are your thoughts on that? How can we actually have managers being more aware of the value that user experience brings?
Yeah. So I think that's it's a common struggle for most organizations. So in the larger or the national report that we're running, we see that most organizations say that they are kind of in the middle when it comes to design maturity. And we see also that it's hard to get acceptance about and awareness about design and UX, and I think it could, of course, it's about some parts is about awareness. They don't know what design is. They don't know what value it brings. They don't know why we're doing stuff or how we do it. But I think that might have something to do with kind of, I'm not sure, and I don't want to kind of put everybody on the same page here, but we are not really good at selling design. I worked at a bank a few years ago, and my manager was a salesperson. He was a great salesperson. So he sold design within the organization. So I think you have to have that kind of approach to kind of create that awareness and create an understanding and understand how kind of what the triggers are within the management, or who has the money to invest in design, and so on and so on.
Mm. Yeah, that was also interesting because around 90% of the people who answered the survey, they were actually UX professionals of some sort. So only 10% were the buyers of user experience. And one comment in the survey actually says, I hope the UX arena gets attention far beyond the circle of UX designers, so that those who make strategic decisions see the importance of good UX. How do you think that the UX community can generate an interest for a wider audience?
Mm. So I think we have to stop navel gazing and talking about design. We have to start talking about solving problems and creating opportunities. It's like when a carpenter comes home to you and he starts talking about his tools, but you're not really interested in his tools. You just want to maybe create a great room or chair or something. And the problem is that many of us, including me, is that we start too much about the design and the process and all the tools and the methods that we use. So, and I don't think that helps really. So I would kind of stress that kind of understanding what is the problem you're trying to solve, and try to help that person or organization or team with solving that problem, and kind of just stop talking about design. Design as a term is really hard because it's so heavily influenced by what people think it is. But of course, it can be a lot about form and aesthetics, it is, but it's also about a process and about problem solving. So you need to kind of step away from that.
We can make a quick check here in the room. How many in the room doesn't work with UX? We have 2. So this is a UX event for UXers, right? That's usually how it goes. So we definitely need to get better at this. Yeah, did we have a comment? Also, we had a question in the State of Design West Coast that were not in the national one, and that was more directed to the UX arena, which me and Anna are running the pre-study of the UX arena. So we also wanted to know what people thought about how critical is a UX arena to strengthen the field. And we had a mix of answers. And one comment said, well, it sounds like an interesting idea. As far as I know, there is no forum that is not run by individual companies or non-profits. And you are running one of the non-profits. And I'm interested to know if you know any other more formal, like, alliances of UX, like gatherings, and what's the importance of a greater, like, gathering of UX to raise the awareness?
Yeah, exactly. So there's a few design organizations in Sweden, like Design Sweden or SVID or Design Movement and Svensk Form and Svensk Designsällskapet. And all of these are kind of having different perspectives, or they're focusing on different design industries. Like some are focusing on architectural, and some are on product design and such and so on. And as we talked earlier, Karin, about some of these have kind of listed all the design roles, but they haven't talked about UX designers as an example. So, and I think, so I haven't seen any kind of formal alliance or initiative or organization. And then we have as you said also, we have these companies that run kind of their own networks or some initiatives. And I think one of the kind of the problem with having those commercial, because there's also a commercial side to that. And that's kind of one of the idea why we created a non-profit organization, because we didn't want to have kind of a bias into that. But we also have international initiatives like EXDA, and we have Service Design Network. And we see that they try to create local chapters. And I also see it's hard to create these local chapters because you have to have somebody who's really invested have time and motivated and kind of to drive these kind of initiatives. And it's, as I see it, it's really hard of course, as a non-profit organization to run it, because we do it on our spare time, as we do right now.
So what would be the value of creating one of these bigger UX alliances as you see it?
Yeah, but I think it would be great because of course, we could get a stronger voice. I also think that we might need to kind of network with other organizations within the other disciplines. As you said, we can't just speak to all the designers. We need to speak to the product and the business people. We need to speak to the tech organizations and so on. But I still think it's needed, and that's kind of one of the idea of our organization.
Thank you. I'm just going to check on the time.
8 minutes to go.
8 minutes to go, that's perfect. I want to let the audience in a little bit. Does any one of you have any questions for Jens? Should we take this one then? Any questions? I have some more questions. But one interesting thing as well, Jens, was that responses from the people in the public sector, they said that they had no hope for a greater UX focus in the near future, since politicians, decision makers and leadership in the public sector has such low maturity. So what differences do you see between the private sector and the public sector?
Yeah, so I have less experience from the public sector in my daily work. I talked to my colleague within design leadership community, Anders Landström, and he works right now at a government agency, and he says that design on the national level is quite good, but of course it's not still there. And there's of course initiatives like the innovation guide is at SKR, and I see that we have talked to Sara, who worked there with kind of working with that, and that guide has really taken off, helping both on a local and a regional level. And we see that there's a lot of interest in working in a design way, design thinking or service design, whatever you call it. And many non-designers are really trying, and they are doing design work or design processes, which is it's amazing to see. I think they have done really great work, kind of getting design outside this design world, as an example. But I would like to see a few things for the future. I think that we need to start to design our country and a society that the way we want to live in. That we need to design work in every aspect of governmental work, from design and services, but also policy making. And I think that we can use design as a tool to create a better world. But I don't think that services and on the governmental agencies and policy making is, maybe you need to start somewhere. But I also think that we need to start apply design to kind of apply design way of work in a public schools. We need to start from the small children's. I see the same thing that when I work at a tech company and we wanted more women working within the tech company, and we couldn't find those. So then we started a school for children and for like for my daughter who's 6 years old and such, just like start the trend. And I think we could do the same thing for design, both from a way school and teacher can train and educate children, but also train children and adults in kind of design thinking and design way of work. And when it comes to school, I also think that we need to find better collaboration between educations and schools and companies or organizations, because I see there's a big gap between the match what's needed. Many designers comes from shorter design educations or trainings to longer, like working longer educations, but they still haven't what's needed within the company. And that could be everything from basic understanding of design process to design ethics to collaboration, facilitation, communication, and that kind of stuff. So I think we need to improve how our design schools are doing today.
And as a co-founder of Design Leadership, what do you hope for the future?
Big question. I want peace. First of all, I want peace. And then I want no more COVID. But other than that, I want to make. I think there's so many things that's great within the design community and how we work with the kind of the people perspective, the human-centered way of thinking, and how we can apply that when we're creating or whatever we're really creating. It could be a chair, a house, a service, an electronic or a digital app to creating better educations in schools. So I would say I would really love to see that we could apply design everywhere.
Well, thank you so much, Jens, for joining us today and telling a little bit about your experience and the development that you see within the UX field. And I hope that you keep on running the design leadership and keep the spirit up for all of us. So thank you so much. We will give you an applause. Great. And this was input, right? The survey gave us some input to the pre-study that we are running and that we have been running since September and will end in May. So it's not that much time left, Anna.
No.
No.
This has been, yes?
How many answered the survey?
Around 200.
And I think that the design leadership had around 600 in the last Swedish round. So it was, for being a new survey here, it was quite good. Yeah, user experience excellence update. It's us for 30 minutes now, and we're so happy to being in the position to present what we have found so far in this work, because we started this in the 1st of September with a clean sheet, and our task was to read the community landscape of UX in this region, understand it and see if there are any opportunities, any obstacles, any hinders that we need to understand, and if there is something that an arena, a UX arena, could change. So we started up with the meeting up with a lot of UX seniors from different fields of the society. So we met them from academia, from businesses, from society, and we started to get pieces from the puzzle that has led us to what we are going to present today. I come from the really commercial side. I've been running an advertising agency for 15 years, and I've been working as a consultant with the change processes in companies the last 10 years. And I am really reluctant towards this public things. Is it needed? Do we really need a UX arena run by the society? I don't know. So I've been really, really skeptical from beginning. And it's going to be really interesting to discuss with you later after this presentation, what you see. Yeah. Please start, Samuel. Here we have that one. I proceed one more, and you should have the clicker. Yeah, I have it here. I can do this myself.
Did you change your mind, Anna?
I'm gonna tell you later. And it doesn't work.
Then Samuel has to click it for us.
Yeah, here, every touch point with the user has a user experience. I mean, we need to start there, because every discussion that we have with anyone along this journey has started with, what is user experience for you? And there are so many different definitions and so many perspectives on this, so we decided that we have to start with some line that says, set the scene for what this is about. Every touch point with the user has a user experience. And where does that come from? It's from this guy, Don Norman. Is there anyone who doesn't know Don Norman? He's quite famous, like grandfather of UX, user experience field. And what's interesting with him is that he's both a psychologist and an engineer. So he has the double mindset of the human and the technical perspective in himself. And with that skill, he came to Apple in the end of on the 1980s. And like he says, he started on a good spot and he developed from there with the user experience competence and processes in mind. So what he says that it's not a touch point. It's not an app. It's a system of touch points. It might be an app, but it's the whole system. It's everything. Simply everything.
That makes it super simple, right? Everyone has the same definition. Yes, no. This is a little bit of a timeline, and here Don Norman was the first person that said he was a user experience designer. And then what happened? This little thing happened, which also, like, the titles of who's actually working with user experience has many names, right? So a survey that Lindholmen Norman Group created, so Don Norman now runs this foundation called Lindholmen Norman Group. So they created a survey, and out of 1,700 people, they found 134 UX titles. So it's spread out like this, which makes it kind of complicated sometimes. So what Jens also said, like, maybe we shouldn't get so stuck in what it is, but talk more about the values that it brings and the human-centered approach that it entitles. And Lindholmen Norman Group also looked into how many user experience there is in the world as for now, and it's around 1 million. And their prediction is that in 2050, we will have 100 million UX, the need of 100 million UX designers. So we need to really step it up, right? And build this competence.
Yeah, and maybe that is why Volvo, the little Volvo cars with the heart there, took contact with the Lindholmen Science Park about 18 months ago and said maybe there is like room for something like a UX arena. And the background to that is that they tried that like 9 years before. In 2013, there was a consortium of Lego, IKEA, Bang Olufsen, Volvo, and others that discussed just as we do. Is there like a room for a space or need for a UX arena? But at that time, it was not mature. The society was not mature, or the interest was not big enough to make anything like ignite. So nothing happened. That pre-study ended in nothing. But now, 18 months ago, it was like time again. And I see that we have some Volvo people here, and I know that Volvo has the biggest UX department in Sweden. So they like have a good fingers on the pulse and knows what is going on. We're a growing number here. And they know it, and they want to attract good UXers from all around the world to help them to design the future car. So that made us to start working together, and we got the opportunity to do this pre-study. That will it's a first step towards what is needed. Is there anything? Maybe, yeah. It is. I mean, the last 5 years there has been like a hot market for the great consultant houses to buy user experience companies. There's been a huge consolidation. So if you had a UX company, department company, 5 years ago, you would have made great money. I don't think it's too late. So if you need a business idea, just do it. Start a business for UX competence. And why? Well, what we're doing is that we're putting the customer experience in the driver's seat. So Volvo are like in the perfect storm here. They're literally doing that. They're putting the the customer experience in the driver's seat. There. So yeah, talking about the perfect storm. This is how to understand what is going on, is that the technologies has developed so quickly through digitalization that it has become like a really important part of actual and future business goals. And to reach success, the whole industry has realized that the users, they are like important. It wasn't really like, they were important before. When I started to work with advertising, it was important, but the processes were so slow. But today they are not slow. We can read the numbers when we do digital development, and the experiences from there has grown up in organizations, and we start to understand, maybe we can understand the whole process as Don Norman does it. Yeah. And these are the trends that are like even making this progress even quicker and more urgent. We have globalization, the climate issues, circular economy, urbanization, yeah, open innovation, servicification, and digitalization.
And we got really interested in how many UX designers are actually wanted as of today in Västra Götaland County, since Don Norman Group said that, well, it's going to be 100 million in the future. So we just checked out LinkedIn, and we found out that today, or this was 2 weeks ago, 512 positions within UX is open. That is around 100 more than for teachers. That says something, because everyone knows that we're lacking teachers, right, in Sweden? And we also know that AI is a field that gets a lot of attention. Everyone speaks about artificial intelligence. But look at the numbers. Almost 1,000 more UX people with UX competence. They are looking for UX competence more than AI competence in Sweden. But is anyone speaking about user experience and the need for it? Hardly anyone, because we don't have a unified voice. We don't have a UX Sweden like AI Sweden does. No one is actually speaking about our interests. It's Jens Verdeen, but he does it on his spare time. And this is, I spoke a little bit with Jens about this, and this is also from the survey coming back. And what are the obstacles? We could see that it's hard to find competence. That is, around 50% said it's fucking hard to find competence. That's why we can't invest. So companies actually has a great maturity, doesn't find the right competence. And what does that lead to? So we were looking into a UX maturity ladder, saying like, do you have UX in your organizations? None, from red up to it's integrated totally in the organization. And what we could see is that even if there is great professionals within the organizations with high maturity, they might work in organizations with lower maturity. That's why we also wanted that parameter here, organization and profession. And what we can see here with the organization that actually has maturity in user experience, they can't find the professionals, the seniors. So they need to look for international competence. And we need to also look at these UX professionals that are mid-level, junior level, and we need to upskill. And we need to fill this senior competence to provide the organizations that needs that competence. And that is something that a UX arena could support with.
And parallelly, we have the other side, the blue part of this cake, with the skeptical management. And what that tells us is that UX competence is not at all a part of the businesses and organizations of Sweden. On the contrary, if we look at the situation here, there is a really low maturity in most companies. And we can see this pattern from AI Sweden as well, since Sweden is like a sibling for us here at Lindholmen. We can benchmark with them, and they have the same challenge that the AI maturity is really, really low in the organizations. And that means that there's another important task for someone, is to raise the maturity of the organizations. And to do that, what happens here, since it's a low maturity, we don't have UX people in the leadership, in the management. So no one is raising the voice of these issues in the management. So they got poor fundings and too little money and too little mandate to run these issues, which might have fatal consequences.
So where do you think that this is from? I know it's in Swedish, but it's from it's a review from App Store, and you can see here 1 star. It's 962 people that rated it 1 star, and here it says it's worse than Corona. It's worse than my last marriage. And it makes me feel worse than when Snape killed Dumbledore. 10 out of 10 sadists recommend. It's not such a great thing, is it? I know some of you probably know where this is from. Any guess?
Yeah!
School Platform Stockholm. This is the cost of developing this platform with the aim of raising the productivity for teachers and parents. But it's taken 7 years. And what is the status today? No one is using it. Because what did they miss here? They didn't involve any users in the development. So when implementing, they realized that no one could use it, and the productivity decreased. And this is tax money. And now they have to redo the whole process again. And we should be lucky if this was an exception, but it's not.
No.
This happens over and over and over again.
Exactly, and when we started to realize these problems, we also, in the one after another, we got different reports from thinkers that have been thinking about this a little bit longer time than we have. So there are like really serious reports coming from different parts of society about the challenges that we are meeting. We had the digital structural transformation, and a lot of focus goes into the digital part, but we know from the research that a good digital development takes a ratio 1:10. There's a need for 1 UX lead for 10 engineers to make things go in a good way and not end up as a school platform.
At least.
And the seriosity of this is stated in one of the last reports that we got. It is in many ways a fateful question for Sweden's competitiveness and prosperity, how well we succeed with the shift in skills we are now facing, both in business and in public activities. And if you're interested in the public challenges, please listen to Carl Heath, who is an excellent thinker about the challenges that the society is meeting. So, if our process started here in September, we have been through some struggles along the way, and we started in January to see the light. We can see 2 big challenges. The first one is about businesses that risk to lose competitiveness if they can't get hold of the right people to work with. It's a threat towards prosperity and growth. And the second is a threat towards society. Inefficiency and poor relations with citizens can have a huge price. It is like Carl Heath says, it's a threat, a real threat towards democracy.
So we have listed 3 main challenges that the UX arena could address. It's the low UX maturity in many organizations, lack of senior UX competence, and what's happening there is that when junior UX competence is trying to get into these companies, no one can take care of them. So because the seniors, they have their hands full. And what Jens also said, well, it doesn't always match. So academia have a lot of people sent out that doesn't match the industry needs as well. So we have 2 problems there. We have a gap that needs to be filled. And that is also something that AI Sweden is seeing, the same challenges. So this is a fun diagram chart, right? Well, what we can do in a UX arena is we could say, well, let's focus here on just projects on a regional level, because we know that there is a regional challenge. And we can do some minor things there, or we can actually go up and say, let's change the game. Is this a regional challenge only, or is it actually national? And do we need to come together and invest broadly to raise the voice of user experience, to make a change for society and the businesses that we have here.
Yeah, so what we see here is the question on the answer to the first question, have I changed my mind? Yes, I actually have. Because we have found challenges that the market really don't take care of. No one is looking at the numbers, the needs. No one does estimates on how many people are needed. No one is promoting this. The UX field is like teachers without a lärarförbundet, or lawyers without a lawyerförbund, missing a lawyerförbund. It's like a huge orchestra without a conductor. So someone has to do something here if we want to do something about the challenges. So we say, yeah, there is need for someone to densify, make things like this, make us come together, make us start to like one-on-one go out in the society and talk about these challenges. And we need to double the number of senior UX competence in order to take care of all the skills that are coming from academia and schools right now. We have good people coming out, but we are not. That's not it. We haven't finished the bridge into the society and to the businesses, and we need to refine society. We need to develop the skills urgently within society and within businesses. So maybe it's a challenge not for Gothenburg, maybe it's a challenge for Sweden instead. Maybe we start here with something, but it's easy for us to look forward and beyond Gothenburg when we have UX Sweden to benchmark with, because they are 4 years ahead. They have made many similar identifications of the problems, and they have already tested a lot of efforts and things to do about it. So we can see a lot of things that we can take off the shelf and just start doing for UX instead. And that would mean that we could accelerate the use of user experience in Sweden. That would be the task for the UX arena. And we need somewhere to, like, a bonfire or fireplace, we say. We need to sit around fireplaces all year round, every day, lots of people all the time. And we need to gather society, students, companies, organizations, meetups, recruiters, academia. We don't need to, like, really invent so much, but we need to make them come together and work for this together. And there are some things that could be done for us from an arena. Building identity, for example. Promote matching skills. Create a conference. We don't have a conference.
We have in Stockholm.
We need to upskill, we need to reskill. We need a lot of collaborations like Jens stressed. We need to meet outside this society, outside this group. We need statistics, prognosis, and follow-up. We need to find stars.
Yeah, who's our role models? Like, we have Don Norman.
He's 86 years old. Yeah, now someone must take his mantle or his hat. We need cases. Cases are like languages. Cases is like a language that we can use to discuss things together and to understand things together. We don't even have cases. Yeah, we have skolplattformen. But that's not inspiring. And we say, we need adventures.
Yes.
So we think it's like bright and fun future for UX people. We are greatly needed. We just need to, like, do a little shit out there to make the world work like we do. Yeah. And I think we actually held the...
Do you agree?
Yeah. We have 4 minutes for questions if anyone wants to know more from our work. And then you just raise your hand. Otherwise, I'd say, what's going to happen now, Karin?
Well, now we have 15 minutes break.
Yeah, but I mean in the pre-study.
Ah, in the pre-study. Well, we've been on this adventure journey, so we need to gather everything that we've learned and put it together and just change the game, apply for money, because we want this to continue. That's what we want. So looking into how we're going to finance this.
Yeah. So from being a like skeptical kid, I do this and see what it is, but I don't think it's not. It's maybe like a fluga, a fly. But we have turned into like looking really, really seriously at these challenges, and what we are going to do now is that we are putting these insights together, and we are also we have ideas on how to do it in the next step, but we want to be able to set on the foot and start to iterate like we've done with this. So we need to work on, but we want to use the momentum that we have found during this process. So hopefully we can continue, and we can continue to gather like this. It's curiosity, but still it's fun. You know, when you do things like this, nowadays people, they say that they're going to come, and then they don't show up maybe. So I was pushing. Do you come? Will you come? Tell me if you won't come. So yesterday I sent out, and I think I sent it out again this morning, please tell me if you're not attending. So I got some people that said, hey, I'm not attending. So I was a bit worried that we wouldn't fill the room. And then we put out at lunchtime today, we have some 10 seats still left. Is there anyone who wanted to come? And it was like up again to the maximum 70 people. So I'm so happy that we got a chance to see that, yeah, there is a pressure. And I know most of you are within the competence already. So we are like already, what do you say it in church? Yeah, I'm preaching to the choir here. So bring this message with you out in the community, that there's important work to be done outside this room. Yeah. So now, Karin, what's happening now?
Now it's 15 minutes break. Just use the bathroom, get some air.
Get to know someone, maybe. Who are you? Why are you here?
And then we're gonna listen to 2 more inspiring speakers. Yay! So see you back in 15 minutes. Hope you had a nice break. I want to introduce our next speaker, and that is what I call a user experience excellence unicum. Do you know what that unicorn unicum? And she's both an artist and an expert within the field. She has a master from Skövde, and she's been working for many years now within the field, in organizations and as a consultant, but foremost within academia, because we also heard how important it is to educate the new user experience excellence people. So I want to welcome on stage Victoria.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, so hopefully I'm going to make this work.
The big button.
Nice. And one more. Okay, so hi everyone. I'm very glad to be here. My name is Victoria, and yeah, I'm glad to be with you guys today. As Karin said, I've been around for years now as a UX professional, and mostly as a UX consultant. So for the last 7 years now, I've been around in over 10 different organizations as a UX professional and as a UX designer and a UX lead. So I've seen a lot in how different organizations work with UX. And that is one part. And the other part is also that I'm educating UX designers. And some of them are here today, and I'm very glad to see you guys. And if anyone needs good UX designer for LIA or anything else, please speak to my UX designers, because it's very important that they are getting into good organizations. So that is who I am in this context. But that's a whole different thing. Why am I here? Good question. I will try to give you a brief image of what I've seen when I have been around during my years as a UX professional. And I've seen something that could be a love story. So I've seen organizations that are good, it's companies working, trying to do things. And I've seen and been a UX designer. So today I don't have all the answers. I don't know if I have any answers at all. But I have some experience, and I would like to share my view. So this could be a love story, but right now there are two lovers in a relationship where things just don't work, you know? Maybe you have been there in a relationship. It could be a great one, something that isn't working. And of course, in this situation, we have the organization as one lover, and we have the UX designers and the UX department as the other lover. And I have asked myself, why isn't things working? In some organizations, everything works and works perfectly, but I've seen the other side of the story as well, when things doesn't work. So why? If we start with the organization, many organizations with low maturity doesn't really know what they need. They heard about UX, they heard about design, and they heard about Apple and Uber and all the other different companies. So they want something like that, but they don't know what they need. So they go out on the market, search for something, a UX designer or a UX professional, but they doesn't know what to look for. So they perhaps hire a UX designer who works as a UX designer, and the organization thinks that it's a mismatch, or the UX designer doesn't know what to do because the organization isn't ready for them. So that is one problem. And the organization, many of the organizations that I've been in contact with, and a lot of people I've spoken to during the years, they say that they work with design, and they say that they have UX designer, but they are not actually design or user driven. So they are not actually taking decisions, strategy decisions, based on user needs or based on a design process. And we have spoken a little bit about this today as well. The organizations, many organizations want things to look good rather than to actually solve any problems. Because if we are actually working as UX designers, we are able to solve real problems for the users, but also real problems for the organization and the business. But if an organization's come into a UX design relationship to have a UX designer working them, they are not actually making, just to make things look good is actually a waste of money and time. I would rather see that UX designers are actually solving real problems. Another problem with organizations, and I say organization, that's just one person, but it's a lot of people within the organization. They don't know why the users pay for the products and services. Let's say that we have a company who has been fairly successful. Perhaps they have made a product or a service and they have users and they have everything. But now the competitors start to come. And the organization gets really stressed and the company gets so stressed. So they just want to have designers and hire designers to make everything great and stay great. But one thing I see is a really good thing to first start with is to actually understand, okay, so you have users today. Why aren't they leaving your company? Why are they actually taking a decision to pay for your service? Why? Why are they not running away to any of your competitors? That's a good thing to ask yourself if you are in an organization and not a UX designer. But I know a lot of you guys are UX designers, so I think I'm preaching a little to the choir here. Okay, so that was the one side of this couple, the organization. They are trying to tangle with UX designers. So UX designers in here, please don't shoot me, because this is just a little bit of what I've seen that isn't working from the UX design perspective. So Karin and Anna also spoke about that there's a long list of different competences that can be filled in within the UX design profession. Graphic designer, interaction designer, product designer, front-end developers, UI designer, project leaders with some design interest, cognitive scientists. You know, the list can be long, long, long. But the problem is that all of them can be called UX designer. We don't have a term or anyone, you know, any profession want to be a doctor. You need to go to the specific school. We don't have that. So anyone can be a UX designer. And that's good because anyone in the organization can actually work with design. But when you hire a UX designer, this is from this is a Norman group, the guru, the guy. So I know that you know about this process. This is the UX design process. But when we have an organization wanting to hire a UX designer, the organization doesn't know what they look for. And they get a UX designer that perhaps is a UI designer who will work here. Of course, it isn't working if a UI designer is just working here. You see? Or we have a, I don't know, a testing person or whatever. Because we need to be able to work within the whole process. So we need to have good teams. So we need to have people that can handle the whole process. And one other thing that I've seen is that UX designers don't know how to do things within the organization. So they're coming to an organization and they just want to make great products and services. But the thing is that the organization doesn't understand how to extract knowledge from the UX design team. And the UX designer doesn't know how to be an evangelist as a UX designer within the organization, because you need to sell in UX design. You need to set up processes on how to work with UX design and how to take decisions. And UX designers are not educated to do that. I know. I've had UX designer during the first year. And everything is different in every organization. And that's also a problem. So UX designers don't know how to do things within the organization. UX designers often forget to ask the question, why? Why are these customers that we have pay for our services? Why are they not paying for our services? Why are they liking us? Why are things doesn't work? UX designers are educated in asking the question why, but when they end up in an organization, there's a lack of time, money, and a lot of things, so they forget to ask the most important question of why. Another thing is that I've seen that a lot of focus is on tools rather than skills. So I don't care if you know Figma, Sketch, Adobe XD, Balsamiq, Axure, or any of those other prototyping tools, or if you can use interview techniques or whatever. The most important thing is that can you get insight from users, extract that into a problem, and then extract that into a solution that, that meets the problem formulation or the user needs. And then you can use any tool you want to do that. So it's a little bit too much focus on tools rather than skills. And I think I have been a little bit focused on all the problems. I do not want to be negative, so I've asked myself, how can this become a love story? So, and of course, I do not have all the answers, and I'm more than happy to chat with you afterwards as well. But I think that organizations need to understand the value of UX. They can earn money out of UX. And they can get happy customers and nice reviews and everything. Organizations also needs to be driven by customer needs rather than ideas from the management. Often I've heard that management has some idea of what to do in the next half year, the roadmap. This is what we should do. But none of those decisions are actually based on user insights or insights that comes from actual users. So it's like user insights stay in the UX design team, and then we have some management taking decisions that are not connected to the actual user needs. So I see there's a lack there in many organizations between user insights and strategic decisions about what to do ahead. Okay. They need to set up processes on how to earn money on user insights. We get user insights. How can we actually make money out of that? Designers need to understand the whole design process. So if you are working as a UX designer, you come into a company, they haven't had any designer before. It's good if you are a little bit confident within the whole design process. It will make your job much easier as well. Even if you're love to do UI design, it's good if you can do user interviews as well. And keep the focus on the user problems. You know, that's why you're there. Because if we understand user problems, then we can actually design great products and services. And this is one thing also. I think UX designers, we need to actually start working our way up and our way ahead within the organization. And that starts with building a UX culture. So you can like set up some user insights notes on the toilet. You can go into the coffee machine and you can ask people about the users. Just spread the word about users and user experience within the company. And that's some things I think we can do in order to make the organization and the UX designers live happily ever after. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Victoria. I think, are we technically ready for the next step? Samuel? Yeah, we try. Because we have a special guest to finish off with here, and that is Laurin and Karin from Volvo Cars, who will come to share her perspective on UX design on the West Coast compared to your experiences on another West Coast. Yeah. So the scene is yours. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet everyone. First off, thank you for having me. And to kind of caveat that statement, I have yet to be here long enough to give a full assessment of comparisons and gaps and areas of improvement. So what I'm going to mainly be speaking to is my experience in San Francisco. And it's going to be very nuanced because I've been at pretty large corporations. And so just keep that in mind as I go through these slides. But first I'm going to start off with telling you a little bit about myself, because that'll kind of give you some insights and less judgment of my character traits as I present, because I'm very quirky. So if we, oh, do I need a little, oh, hello. Is that better? Do I need a little clicker thing, or is that groovy? Pew, pew. That could do it too. The big one. All right. Groovy. So I didn't know the screen would be so big. So if you see my pores as a child, that's okay. So I wanted to give you some context about me and my lifestyle and how I got into this crazy world of UX and product design. So that's me as a child, naturally. And so I grew up in a really rural area in Georgia. So it's a suburb of Atlanta, but very, very small. And so I had always been questioning the norm. As you can see, my fingers are stuck into the nose. I had dark humor at a very, very young age. I wasn't trying to suffocate the horse. I was just trying to test its limits. But as you see elsewhere, I really like extremes, and I like to test the limits. And obviously that sometimes results in these types of accidents, but this is my character. I always like to kind of push and push and push and kind of understand what are my own personal limits. A little bit of the career background. So I included the pieces from San Francisco that are most relevant for today. And so some of you might know these places. Intuit, is anyone familiar in the room? Oh yeah, we got one. What up, man? So Intuit is a financial platform, and it has a family of apps called QuickBooks, Mint, TurboTax. And they have a slew of financial products that aggregate data and give financial recommendations for customers. And then hopefully you're familiar with these guys. If not, by show of hands, Facebook, Instagram, Strava. Anyone know? All right, groovy. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit through my progression of each of these companies and the why that I kind of kept going and kept switching, based on that baseline that I mentioned of wanting to keep going, pushing myself, learning more in a personal setting and also in a career setting. And so once I got into the weeds of financial data, I was like, ooh, what company might have the most data that we all know to man for the longest history? Insert Facebook. So my time at Facebook was chaotic, as you can imagine. Look at my hair, it's probably equivalent. So my time at Facebook was mainly working on integrity products. And I know this is not comedy. That does exist. And then within Facebook integrity products, birthed Instagram integrity products. And so Facebook obviously was a prerequisite to their Instagram acquisition. And so as all of the things and the data was surfacing of bad actors on the platform, leveraging the social graph, expanding it exponentially and causing a lot of harm to billions of users, that was inherently going to happen to Instagram. And so this is why I transitioned to Instagram. And then from Instagram, in this gap here, massive sabbatical for surfing. Needed to find my center, needed to calm down, needed to relax a little bit, needed to be in the waves. And then I was like, next thought progression, oh, you should go to somewhere where that's endorphin-filled, everyone's happy, cycling every day, walking meetings, perfect. So go to Strava. It's not that glorious, and I'm going to caveat this again. The things I'm going to show you, I'm going to go in depth on Facebook, and it's going to be pretty gnarly. And then I'm also going to show some Instagram things that are also pretty gnarly. Then I'm also going to show some Strava things that you wouldn't assume a cycling and running platform could be, but they are. And all unfortunate, but it's also going to show you a lens into product design in San Francisco and how you have to have this integrity mindset through at any company you're at. Cool. I keep forgetting I have the clicker. All right, so intense jobs. I'm not an intense person, as you can tell. This was twin day, so I decided to match the carpet. I was feeling like a shithead that day, so naturally I wear my shithead mask. This was actually more recently, and Jonathan in the audience partook in this alien costume. I also have an astronaut costume and decided to come as myself today, just to not scare anyone away. And this is me with multiple chins. So all of you, you understand me now, hopefully. If not, there's the door. So with that, this is my main quote, motto to live by. And so I'll read it aloud. The bad news is that you're falling through the air, nothing to hang on to, no parachute, but the good news is there's no ground. And this is going to kind of sprinkle through the theme that I'm going to speak to. A lot of the things that I'm seeing and have witnessed in the Bay Area, people are super risky, but risk comes with a cost. And so you might not have a parachute, you might not have a ground, but the things around you might be affected. And so keep that in mind as I keep going. Cool. So at a high level, what are the expectations for UX in San Francisco? It's pretty intense. You need a unicorn that's pixel perfect, that's pooping rainbows. Good luck finding it. What they got is me. So here we are. I kind of look like that in a profile shot. But realistically, this is the UX persona and archetype within San Francisco at any major company that you're looking at. So it's more than UX. It's the craft, UX and UI. You need to be proficient in all of these facets. Next, business acumen. Anyone, business acumen, as a UX designer, you're like, hold on, I gotta take some more courses. What's going on? But it is a baseline requirement to know financial information, how it will inform product decisions, how it will inform the experience that the people are seeing. All of these are a requirement within the Bay Area. The next is product sense. My first interview with Facebook was redesign an alarm clock. I'm like, shit, I don't use one, and if I do, I snooze. So that was a challenge, but what they do in that assessment is understand, do you have that business acumen? Are you looking at all of different edge cases that could potentially happen? Are you looking at future innovations that could happen, integrating with your home devices, integrating with your car? Are you considering all of these factors in order to work at this company to be a holistic UX and product designer? And the next one is leadership and instinct. So most junior level UX and product designers, you couldn't say they have that, but we don't necessarily look for those things specifically. We look for curiosity. We look for the willingness to learn. We look for asking the why, the questions that can kind of help us and help them get there and kind of start to career development all the way. Cool. So what does that look like? That's literally how I talk. Oh no. I added some GIFs. I'm glad they're playing. Thanks, man. So question for the audience. Has anyone given, I say this because I laugh because I've done this before and it was catastrophic. Has anyone recommended a product solution within design, within a product team that would make the business numbers go down and you actually lose revenue? Anyone in the room? Oh God, just me? Oh, great. We're gonna talk later. I got a lot of trigger points. Cool, so I'm gonna get back to this, but keep thinking that in your mind. So, take informed risks, holistically, try not to create them. So this is a segue into my next piece that I'm gonna go a little bit deeper into from a Facebook standpoint. And the theme, holistically, because I want everyone to be able to take informed risks and be pushing the boundaries and be innovative, but try not to create them. And everyone usually has best intent. So that is the one takeaway. If you take anything away from this, is to have informed risks, but also don't create them. Because once you do, they're just going to populate. Cool. Oh yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Questions? Maybe we have her here. Does anyone want to raise their hands? No, we don't do it like that. Thank you so much. Well, we have half an hour before we have to leave the place, so if you want to just hang around and have a chat with Laurin or someone else, please do. We really appreciate that you came tonight, and we hope that we will see you again quite soon. There's nothing planned more for this spring, but I hope we can be here again quite quickly in the fall again.
Yeah, how many people here, raise your hand if you hope that the UX arena will be a reality? Did we get a picture of that? Let me get a picture of that. Okay, we will do it once more. Exactly. How many people want a continuation of the UX arena? Raise your hand. Yeah, we're going to give that to founders.
I just said GDPR. Sorry.
Let me know if you don't want to be in.
We got it from the back as well.
Okay, thank you everyone.
Yeah.
And